Today is June 19, 2020, and I'll be talking about this particular trip. So, during the year of 2017, I was very concentrated. My mind, I was able to sit down and write without without hesitating, right? I'm able to write within seconds and think very fast. When I was thinking very fast, I was writing more. So I learned that the reason for my way of thinking at that time was because I was thinking more. So the more I started writing during that year of 2017, the more effective it become in my environment. And at the time of 2017, I'm talking about August 2017, I was in a Palm Hotel with my mom and my sister. And I noticed that my mom and my sister were ganging up on me. And this only occurs during the weekends or when my mom or my sister has a day off at the same time. When my mom comes back from work during the weekdays and my sister is, home, my mom goes to sleep. But it's only during times when it's really necessary for the multi-agent quantum AI computers to actually make my mom, you know, make remarks at me. So I recall writing online to a person on the internet, and all of a sudden, my mom just wakes herself up from her sleep. And then she screams at me across the room. Not only she screams at me, she starts bringing about job out of nowhere. It's out of place. Her her response is out of place. She just woke up out of her sleep and she just started talking really loud, screaming at me. Then I said I haven't done nothing. Then she becomes very talkative, right? Because the objective here from the mind that the multi-agent quantum AI computer is designed for my mom is to get me to talk. So my mom can continue giving a reason to talk. So when I talk, my mom says, "You keep talking. You see, you keep talking. You keep talking. You keep talking. You think he sound good. He thinks he sound good." So this is how she says, talk to me. She would use these phrases. She would say, "He thinks he sound good. You think you know everything, but you don't know nothing." She started saying these phrases each time when she makes these remarks about me. And then she would bring up something about me that, or about my productivity, something about me not working, not being able to find any work, even though I'm applying for a whole bunch of jobs and I put in for all times and every day. Like I put in for jobs that actually pays because I lived in the tourist section. And the majority of the people who was working at Walmart and Target was Hispanic, right? These are people who came from Puerto Rico, Colombia, El Salvador, Dominican Republic. They're able to land jobs immediately because they're able to speak at a comfortable, they're very comfortable with one another because they're able to speak the same language. I would feel like they would feel if I joined them, they would feel like pretty much I'm just an outsider. They would feel very uncomfortable with me being there. And no matter how many times I put in for a job, not a single person hired me. And every 2 weeks they get paid $600, and that's enough to pay for a motel, right? And also food. So when I mentioned the two obvious information that's actually happening in an environment, my mom would tell me that I'm repeating the same thing. You keep repeating yourself. You keep repeating yourself. Not only that my mom started doing that, the people online would start doing that. You repeat the same thing. Whatever you say, you repeat the same thing. Not only that my mom and the people online would say that I repeat the same thing, my mom was the one who started with the word repeat, with the phrase repeat the same thing, right? She started out with that phrase, right? And this makes a concept. This is a way of the multi-agent quantum AI computers not giving me a reason to respond back. So I won't have anything, so I won't have a reason to actually give a response back so I can actually allow her to talk to me anyway how, because I'm in a situation where every time I write on the internet, it significantly makes changes to my environment. I'm talking about the supercomputers. It became more effective the more I write on the internet. I also started engaging on YouTube conversations with people online. Started writing my comments every single day. But I also noticed that people on there were starting to, the more I write, the more people on the internet, or you can say on YouTube, started saying, "Oh, yeah, he writes a lot, but I never know what he's saying." I'm like, "What? I never know what he's saying." So I've encountered, or you can say I've endured a lot since I was a child. I've endured, where I had this, or you can say I received language barrier from people, where to the point that regardless of how clear I was, they said that I was not clear. And I've also come across a person on this community who also said that they had the same experience as me, where regardless of how they explained the truth to people during a situation that they were in, the people refused to actually hear them out, and they continue to talk over them, and they're talking in a very demanding way. And he said that they have some sort of defense mechanism. But this is everybody that I've experienced this behavior from, and also communication. I experienced from teachers. I'm still experiencing that to this day. I experienced it from my mom. I experienced from my sister. I experienced from strangers that I don't even know. So here is where I talk about my experiences. I just talk about the way I feel and the way I think about my situation at the time. That I said that I didn't miss out on the activity that were created by someone who wanted me to join these activities, right? Because I was pretty much using myself as an example. My experiences, my ideas come from my experiences with people, and to have someone call me out, a complete stranger that I never interact with, call me out and said this to me, and then try to use some sort of concept that they found either off the internet or from their education to lecture me with, and I'm trying to give them an explanation. It's insulting. I feel insulted as a human being. I'm not sure what you mean. A concept that can either be proven, not denied, is exactly that. A person, the person says it to me, a concept that can see. This is the reason why I said concept. That the reason why people talk to me in this fashion, or you can say the artificial intelligence allowed people to talk to me, is because the way I use my concept. So 2018, I had created videos when I was living in Jamaica, Queens, New York, in the area when I was living at the shelter at the time, but yeah, Jamaica, Queens, and I was standing at the Link NYC free Wi-Fi, and I said to myself, the person was mentioning about the way I use my concept. He said about concepts. He said my concepts are repetitive, right? He said a concept that can neither be proven or nor denied is exactly that. Unknown. See, he said unknown to humans anyway. But if you want to be expressed, there's no way I can know for sure. But that goes for anything. He said that he can't. He doesn't have any idea of his own to be able to prove that my idea exists, or you can say my concept exists. So when I wrote about or you can say it was clear. The message from my post was clear. Someone, not only this person, the stranger, someone saw what I wrote was accurate. It was accurate. That it actually cooperates with the original poster thread. It was relevant. I actually gave him a correct answer, right? So it needed at least two people to be part of this task, or you can say it needed to create a mind. The AI needed a design, rather. Design is a better term. Design a mentality for these people on the internet to give me these responses because they never heard no one speak that way before. As how I experienced this in education system, they never. I'm pretty sure that when the artificial intelligence, or you can say when the people sees me speaking this way, the artificial intelligence takes over and allow the people on the internet to find a way to remove my meaning from my post. That's why I said during that year that this person, Versik and Plasma, are cleaning up after what I wrote. How can a thread like this turn to a discussion about artificial intelligence? So this is a catchy first sentence that this person's writing, right? Because I wrote something correct about artificial intelligence and my experiences. I actually said how I truly feel and how I truly think, and both were it was accurate. I expressed myself clearly. So I needed to find people on the internet that, or you can say from the community that I'm in, to actually direct this message. These are ciphers, right? This person is writing a cipher based on what the multi-agent quantum AI computers instructed. That's why I started using the word cryptography. I started saying the term cryptography keys. I had a person on the internet on Reddit said that that is not the right term because there's no possible way that the human brain can mathematically produce these cryptography keys. And then she or he used the term incorrectly about design. It's not designed for. Instead of saying created, design and created are two. The concepts are two different things. And the person didn't interpret the concept properly. So Plasma is a complete stranger. And what's funny about Versik, who is another stranger, is that Versik wanted this person, this complete stranger, both of them are strangers, complete strangers, and this stranger wants another stranger to be aware that my post on this community is about my belief, right? What is so special out of all the people on the community? What is so special about my post? So during June 2018, when I experienced this gentleman, I this is in person. This is what happened to me in person. There was this gentleman who approached me in a library, and out of all the people who's sitting around me, he approached me and he asked me for my library card. He said to me, "What is my password?" Now that's absurd. Why would a complete stranger approach me and ask me for my library card number and my password? And I just told him to go to the front desk, ask the librarians to help him. Or I said to him, ask the librarians to help you out. They can actually give you a library card. Simple. He comes back 14 minutes later, and he said to me that he doesn't have any proper address or ID to actually get a library card. And I'm sitting in the library with my mom and my sister, trying to apply for a job so the people in the shelter can see that I'm actually wanting to get a job. I have interest in getting a job, right? And that's the same day I'm concentrating on trying to apply for a job, I'm getting approached by a complete stranger that I don't even know of. And he's talking to me as if I've always had, or he's talking to me like he grew up with me. That's how I have to put it. He doesn't talk to me like a stranger. He talked to me like he grew up with me. Like me and him been speaking every day. That's the way he speaks to me. And my mom and my sister didn't even talk back. They allowed him to talk any way how towards me. And I noticed this is more than one time that my mom and my sister had projected his behavior where they don't intervene. But my sister would only intervene when my mom had something stupid to say about me not wanting to get a job. She would say, she would actually, tag team with my mom on me about my, might as well say, about me being isolated, because that's human isolation. If a human being puts in for a job all the time and they have serious interest in wanting to get a job, and two people who are living with them wants them to deny that they never had any interest in getting a job, and wants to convince them that the reason why they're in this situation is because of me. No, my mom is telling me that I'm the one who put myself in a situation, right? But I never thought of being put in that situation because I'm thinking of getting a job. They want me to think that I put myself in that situation, that I'm the one that has control over the job. They're thinking that I've had already interacted with the people before. This is why I said that something's wrong with their social skills, because that's when I started learning that someone was doing it on purpose. I started saying to myself about social, that the people are socially dependent, right? That the people aren't governing themselves. When you go to a job, you have to apply for a job application, and you're depending on another human being for you to receive a job, right? You just can't create your own job out of nowhere, or create your own money. That doesn't work that way. You have to depend on another person in order to get a job. So I just started saying using social dependent, right? I said people are socially dependent. They don't have that information themselves to know how to create a job. They don't have any information to create their own product, right? You ever learned about how to create your own juice? Nope. You don't learn that in school. Only the people who's been programmed. The people who have that mind is programmed to receive information how to create juice. That's when I started learning that something wasn't right here. That someone wanted me to be isolated. They think that I know too much and that I need to be harassed. That's harassment, right? This is also considered as harassment because I'm talking about my experience online, and this complete stranger, these two complete strangers, has the nerve to talk about me, and they're talking about me. I don't even know them. These two people don't even know each other, and they're talking about me. They think that my ideas are so, or you can say my ideas are so unique that they have to talk about me out in the public so they can make others aware. And this person also has the nerve to private message me and say to me, he has the audacity to say to me that he's not interested in influencing other people's opinions about me. And this is what he did. He did it not only one time, he did it twice. There's a second time he did that because he uses another person's post. He quoted another person. He says, as example, look, example. And then he makes another example out of me. Why is he doing? Why is he so interested in making examples out of me? He's also used the word prime. He made a prime example out of me as if I'm someone important, right? The way he talks to me as if he's doing an investigation on my post, and he's just a stranger. Why is he putting so much effort? If my post is so wrong, why is he putting so much effort into making me look like I do not know what I'm saying? This is the reason why I think that I haven't, another reason why I think that someone's making this person do that to me, because a person wouldn't just put so much effort into writing to a complete stranger about their own ideas when they're talking about their own experience. And another reason for making me think this way is because Versik is not even talking about the topic of this thread. I don't even I don't hear him talking about how he what he missed out on a separate post. You only see other members. Where's Versik post? I'm talking about a post of him not quoting me. I don't even see that until this particular post. He tries to incorporate another person post, Ice Dude, into he's trying to fit it in the post. This is showing me that he's jumbling everything at once. Written it's not written coherently. It's not even it's as if Versik just rushed, as if someone just made Versik rush this post just to make it look reasonable that he's actually cooperating with the post, because the multi-agent quantum AI computers saw that my post was on topic. The problem here is the topics and the information coming from my posts. It's too consistent, and the multi-agent quantum AI computers needs to make it inconsistent. So it needs to find a person on the community who can actually make my posts look meaningless as possible. Put effort into making it meaningless because the information was too accurate. He pulls the words and then he starts to give a concept. And this is the concept that he introduced. And then he's lecturing me. He's lecturing me about my own experience. Why is he doing that? Why is this stranger so angry that I'm talking about my own experience? What does that have to do with him? That's the reason why I said that there's something isn't right. So there's more than one reason why I think that Versik never had any intention to say that he's, I'm not really interested in influencing other people's opinions about you. This person contradicted himself. This person lacked the mentality at that exact time to know exactly what he's saying. Someone's hiding Versik's mind from knowing what he's doing. So he can write that to me. And the same happened to me in 2016 when I wrote about my ideas. I wrote this response, and the next minute, I noticed that this person said something about me. I, that's why I said that this stranger here is trying to make me acknowledge that there's people out on the community other than herself is having the same mentality as her. And why would a complete stranger that's talking to me the first time is gonna think that I'm gonna be convinced that there's other people other than herself is thinking exactly like her. That's why it's not working. It's incorrect. I wasn't the person. The person write to me like I don't have any like I never interacted with a human being before. But it's not me. It's actually the person itself. The person doesn't realize that she doesn't have any authority on the community. She's not a moderator, not an administrator, just a regular person. And this, we know, this is what draws enough attention to the staff. One of the reasons why the staff also, edit her posts. It's cruel and it's embarrassing. But they both have the same mentality, Vert and Versik. It is something that they lack about themselves. Maybe the person's uncertain. The person, that means the person does have ideas of them for themselves about the governments, right? They actually think that the governments actually are capable of doing it. They have some sort of doubt about what's happening with themselves in this in humanity. And the artificial intelligence lured them out. They never seen no one communicate that way. But when you compare Versik and Vert, they're alike. Their responses. I mean, when the person mentioned this one guy always posts about his belief in every thread he posts in. And then Vert posts in so many threads. See? So many threads. Every thread, many threads. They're so fixated on me posting on the thread. Why are they so fixated on me posting on the threads? What's so special about my post out of everybody? I'm just a complete stranger at the time who didn't have no education. I'm not. I wasn't. I tried putting for college when I was in Florida, but it was a bit difficult because of my living conditions. I've applied for a whole bunch of jobs. The only thing I did was read and write. There was no other things that I can do but just do this. Every single day I read and write, and I'm insulted that I come back to New York City and I'm having people in person talk down to me. Not only This is not only happening on a line, it's happening in person. I have a job developer in a shelter advising me what to say and what to not to say and how to dress and not how to dress. And I'm dressing appropriately. I don't even sag my pants. I dress appropriate. I wear button shirts. I don't do anything. I don't wear anything that can actually look offensive to people. I'm always dressed appropriate. I had a lady, a complete stranger that I don't know of, telling me that about my mom that I'm not gonna make. She said to me, "This is it's just too much." This is the shelter director. That's the same time in June 2018, where I had a gentleman, a young person, came up to me and wanted my password because it is insulting that I'm trying to concentrate doing my application. That's why I'm picking back up. I'm showing you how it connects. It's insulting for a stranger to just approach me and ask me for my personal information. And to come back to a shelter and have a shelter director calling me and my mom to go downstairs and be insulted that I don't want to have a job. They're saying that I don't have any interest in getting a job. She lectured me, the shelter director, and she was very rude when she was introducing me to another shelter case manager. Very rude. Never, she didn't have no patience to even look once at me properly. Very, very rude. Impatient. She just rolled her eyes. She just rolled her eyeballs back. as she was trying to look at me, as if I was just the way she talks to me, as if I was just some sort of lower form of a human being. You're not gonna let your mom do all the work while you sit in the house. Something wasn't right. She showed some sort of familiarity. So I started saying that she talks like my cousin Nadine, who was in Florida. Hold on for a few seconds. She talks like Nadine. The shelter case, or rather than say, the shelter director talks exactly like Nadine because during January of 2000, was it no? During February 2017, Nadine came in the Palm Hotel room, my Palm Hotel room where me, my mom, and sister are living in, and she's talking to me in a very rude manner. First, she talks about my personal belongings. She said, "Oh, where's it?" I'm like, "What?" She doesn't even talk to me. First, she's talking about my personal belonging. What does my bag has to do with her? Why she's even talking about my bag? It was out of place because the first time when Nadine, my cousin, which is also my mom cousin and my sister cousin, when she first came in the Palm Hotel with her son back in fall 2016, she was talking politely. But the second time, she was talking inappropriate. She's talking to me like she owns the items in my hotel room, like she owns my computer and my belongings, my duffel bag. And my mom was so impatient with me during that day. She started putting her two index fingers in her ears and calling me evil over and over and over and over nonstop. It was repetitive. I'm like, well, I never saw my mom stick her index fingers in her ears and just repeat the same word over and over. Something's wrong. Obviously, something's she would her behavior is incorrect. And I just asked about Nadine. I said, "Why Nadine?" I said to my mom, why Nadine is coming over?" I just asked her a question. She didn't answer me back. And this is not the first time she did this to me. I recall when I woke up from a dream. I woke up from a dream. It was during the morning time. I was around. I was around 17 to 18 years old, and I was there in 10th grade, 10 or 11th grade. And I just told my mom about a dream. Usually, me and my mom would talk during the morning, but in this particular morning, she didn't really talk back at the time. I was like, something's wrong. I mean, usually when I talk about dreams or talk to my mom, she would just talk back to me. She didn't have any conscious mind whatsoever to talk back to me at all. She just keeps saying to me, "Go, you're running late. You're running late. You're running late. You're running late. You gotta go. You gotta go to the bathroom. You're running late." I'm like, why is she talking not so fast and just rushing me out of the bedroom and telling me to go to the shower? Even when I got out of the shower, she was still rushing me. Like she didn't want me to. It's like she didn't want me to talk about my dream. I don't know what's so special about that dream, but I recall that the only thing that it showed me was me arguing with my father, and my father was arguing with me, and I haven't done nothing. It seems that my father was intoxicated and he lost his temper, and then he came in front of my father was standing in front of me. Well, how can I really say it? I just saw myself standing in front of my father, and my father standing in front of me. Saw myself moving. I just told my mom about that. And when I woke up, she didn't give me a chance to speak. That whole entire, I might as well say the whole entire day, she didn't even speak to me. So this is one of the reasons why I say to myself that something was definitely wrong with the way I was being put in situations when I was a kid, when I was in special ed, because I had the same experience when I was in special ed and also in a speech class. I had the same experiences from people when I was a kid and also online. I'm getting the same talk. If you're being isolated, how are you supposed to get a job? I'm already having a hard time with college already, even though I passed my classes. But my psychology, my grades are low because I'm not really receiving that much interaction from the people in my class. Psychology requires interaction. You need to engage in a conversation in order to have some sort of context. I just feel so isolated. I feel as if someone doesn't really want me to, you know, receive any interaction whatsoever. The more I talk about my ideas, the less interaction I get from people. I don't talk in front of them about my ideas. I just know that my environment is more effective. The more I write online, the more I think about my own ideas. But to have these two complete strangers telling me the same exact idea shows me the mind. It showed me where the source of mind coming from. They're so fixated on my post, and it all started from this one thread from 2015, and I saw a post that was talking to me, talking to the original poster and talking to me. The you could say the phrases or directed at me as if they're speaking to me, but they're not, and it's ridiculous that the stranger is not quoting me or replying to me, but yet their message in their post is talking to me as if they had interacted with me before. So that's when I started learning about cryptography, quantum cryptography, and cryptography keys. So once I or you could say once I get that experience, I'm able to create an idea from it and learn where it's coming from and how it's worked. And I figured it out. And since I figured it out, now that I figured it out, and I talk about how I figured it out, the people online told me that that is incorrect term, and there's no such thing mathematically. There's no such thing whatsoever that the human mind could possibly be doing that because they said that I'm missing information or I can't explain it. And then the person mentioned that I can't explain it or I'm missing information to the point that they said I think I sound good. So just like my mom was the first person who started the phrase, "You think you sound good. You think you know everything, but you don't know shit. You don't know jack." And then when she was saying that at that time, she said, "I feel like taking that shit, your computer, and throwing it in the garbage." I'm like, who? I never heard my mom speak that way. This is the first time I've heard my mom curse about my computer. So, you know, me, I'm a logical person. So I would give a response back to my mom. I said to my mom, when the artificial intelligence knows that the jobs are not hiring me or knows that I don't meet the criteria because of the social barrier, I was receiving a social barrier. Because the reason why I'm receiving a social barrier when I was in Kissimmee, Florida is because of Hispanic people. The people who are working at Target and Walmart are Hispanic. And I have no authority whatsoever of ever seeing any hope for a job, no matter how much effort I put in. Just like when I was put in a situation where I was trying to do math and I try to find time to sit down and do my math. I had no time to sit down and do no math. I couldn't find the time to do it. Every time I try finding time, there's always something happening. It's either that the employees in the shelter starts to distract me by knocking on the door or coming inside to do their inspection. It's either that I feel like as if someone's draining my body or I'm getting a headache. It's either that my two other classes that I had, my psychology course and my English course, wanted me to do essays. It's either that my mom or my sister in the background starts to distract me from concentrating. I'm like, come on, it's ridiculous. I couldn't even go to no library. I never had time to sit down and go over my math in the library because I didn't have enough time. During the weekends, it would be worse because there's more people out at that time in an environment. A lot of people goes to the library. I won't have no quiet space to myself to sit down and do my work. Just like when I was sitting in the library trying to go online and do my writing online, it didn't work out really that good. I got irritated by the people around me, and the people around me started bothering me. I'm talking about the strangers in the library. I didn't have a proper place to sit down and do my work. The work what I'm doing is promoting my ideas online, my content. It was difficult. It's or we can say complex. I couldn't even find a solution because even though I went to a different library, I still ended up being bothered by strangers. I had a librarian told me to move because they saw me. I was on my smartphone. I was trying to write on a smartphone at the time because I was finding it as an effective way to get my ideas out. The lady said she found a reason to make me move from that library. So I won't sit down. I won't have no seat because it's crowded at the time. I didn't know what to do. So me and my sister had to just leave to go to another library. It's ridiculous. My This is what makes me think that my idea is correct. My experiences and my ideas is correct because I keep having the same experiences with people. Why is these all these occurrences are happening every time I talk about my ideas? Why can't I be in a calm environment where I can sit down and people don't bother me and I'm able to concentrate? Why has this been going on since I was a kid? Even in school, I didn't have time to sit down. I didn't even have time to sit down in the class to be able to concentrate on my work without some sort of behavior from another classmate started happening at that time. They started bothering me rather than bullying. It's weird different. They started telling me that telling me that I said something to them. I did something to them. That the teacher would send me to the dean would say that I would actually be convinced that I actually did do something to my classmates. It was endless. I feel like I had no way of escaping it. So what I learned was that the artificial intelligence can remap my environment according to how I think, according to how I behave. And it sees that I have such good behavior as a human being. You know, my emotions are stable, not like the people around me. My thoughts are stable. I'm just a, I just show good behavior because of my mind. Maybe not only that, it sees me as a mature person at the time when I was a kid. It needed to design some sort of method to lure me out, so I can actually project that behavior in class too. Because when I tried fighting for myself, so I can actually be able to sit down in a class, it didn't work out. And I'm getting switched to another class and I nearly got expelled from my school because of what I did. There's not a single person who can socially support me when I was a kid. The adults didn't socially support me. The students, that's when I realized I was isolated. There's no one out there I can talk to. And when I went to did I was a psychologist or a therapist? When I went to the therapist in Kissimmee, Florida, just went to see just at the time I just talked about my you know I said that the environment that I'm in is bad, and not only that it's bad, I try training my thoughts to think positive. And I do things to keep my mind safe, to have these safe thoughts, not these negative thoughts. Keep my thoughts, or you could say my brain, train my brain to understand why is this happening to me. She said to my mom that I'm very intelligent when I said the phrase "train my brain" to understand the environment and this. But everybody, it seems that when I say a word of my own, or you can say a thought of my own, the people around me say that it's unclear. I recently had a professor saying that my information is not part of the discussion. Even though I may copy some of the information from the internet to help my work, because some of the story uses literary elements, and I haven't done literary elements for a long time. So I tried using Spark Notes and eNotes, different sources that can back me up with my research paper. I still ended up having a complete stranger telling me that my information is not really, or you could say my sources to support my research paper is not really it's not really has nothing to do with the discussion. No matter what I do, what I say, and that means the software engineers are aware of the way I think. So I notice significant changes. So when I notice the significant changes to the way people talk to me online and in person, this is when I say that someone remapped the environment. Everything occurring at the same time. When I want to sit down and concentrate, someone in the background is distracting me. Not only someone in the background is distracting me, the things that I do are important is really pretty much getting derailed. It all occurs one by one. But it's much more complex in New York City because there's more people. So that's why I say I'm more prone to being isolated in New York than when I was in Florida. And I'm not only more prone to being isolated by the people, they can effectively reduce my thinking because the pressure is so consistent. It's not giving me time to think for myself. They always catch me off guard one by one, and it happens in the order. So that's why I make my talks, my discussion. And I'll be pretty much making these videos constantly because of the past 2 years not being able to sit down and concentrate. A good It was a person on Twitch. He said he said that he trains himself how to speak by going on YouTube, make videos. So I'm just pretty much doing what he's doing, and he's a commenter. Yeah, he's a person that commentates on video game matches. It's ridiculous. But in order for me to have a better idea, I had to go back on not only how the people spoke to me, I had to go back on the way I write in order for me to tap back. So what I learned from my posts is when I talk about cryptography keys, anytime I talk about cryptography keys and key information, people get triggered. Every time I write online, I see words in my dreams. Every time I write online consistently, the people who are very close to me, like my mom and my sister, are not really interactive with me. The people that I know of are simply not really engaging in a conversation with me that much. But they're more interactive with one another. So yes, there's definitely different. There's a lot of changes in my environment. That's how I notice. And it's funny how I come across this post where the person mentioned about autopilot, and then was it in 2018? I come across a person thread, and they were talking about me. They said that emotion. Yeah, it wasn't this. They were saying that that they came across my post, and they said that yeah, people with social anxiety are really not on autopilot. They're much different than the normal people, than the norm. They said than the norm because they're able to notice that the people are on auto set, as if someone's auto set. My meaning of auto set is that there's a there's a machine, or you can say the people mind is not theirs, and someone continues to keep designing these scenarios for them in their mind. So every time they do something or they say something, it's not intentionally coming from them. It didn't originate from them. It came from a machine that's producing directions for them. So I started talking about thoughts, fake thoughts, mentality, logic, statements, and I'm starting and based on how I'm able to notice the statements and the contradictions and the way the people use the terms. So the less people talk to me, the less context I get. And that's how the artificial intelligence is going to manage me. If the people on the internet had interact with me one on one and they maintain the correct information from me based on their free will, there's going to be a problem because they would also be affected by what I did. Okay, so I'm going to eat my food. This was a very good video, and I'll be making another video very shortly.